The morning sun over Atlanta, Georgia, shimmered through the tall glass buildings, scattering streaks of gold onto the busy streets. It was a typical weekday, traffic humming, horns blaring, and people rushing to beat time. But for Lucas Morgan and Michael Gray, today was anything but typical. They were both in their mid-20s, bright, ambitious, and desperate for a fresh start. After months of sending out resumes, they had finally landed an interview with one of the most reputable companies in the city, Martin Lux Hospitality Group. The position was for an assistant manager, but it promised growth, stability, and prestige. Lucas straightened his tie as they hurried along Peachtree Street. His suit was clean but modest, the kind you buy on discount and press carefully the night before. Michael, on the other hand, looked sharp in his tailored navy suit and polished shoes. He had borrowed a luxury watch from a cousin, and it glimmered each time sunlight hit his wrist. "Man, I can't believe this is happening," Lucas said, a nervous laugh escaping his lips. "If I nail this interview, it's a game changer." Michael smirked. Come on, bro, confidence is key. You've got to act like the job's already yours." Lucas nodded. "Yeah, I guess. But still." "Still nothing," Michael interrupted. "You've got the brains. I've got the charm. Between the two of us, at least one's walking out with a job today." They both laughed, and for a moment the tension eased. The Martin Lux office was about a 15-minute walk away. They had left early to avoid delays, but life had other plans. Halfway there, they noticed a white Tesla pulled over by the sidewalk. Steam billowed from its hood, and beside it stood a woman in jeans, sneakers, and a gray hoodie. Her blonde hair was tied back messily, and she was clearly frustrated, pacing around, phone pressed to her ear. She looked up just as Lucas and Michael approached. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice slightly shaky. "Do either of you know anything about cars?" Michael slowed for half a second, frowned, then looked away. "We don't have time for this," he muttered under his breath. Lucas, however, stopped. "Hey, she looks like she needs help." "Lucas," Michael snapped, "we've got an interview in 20 minutes. You want to risk being late to play mechanic for some stranger?" Lucas turned toward the woman. She looked genuinely distressed, not the type faking a problem. Her phone call didn't seem to be going through either. "Ma'am, what's wrong with it?" Lucas asked, ignoring Michael's glare. She sighed. "I was driving to a meeting when the car just stopped. I tried calling roadside assistance, but my phone keeps losing signal here." Michael crossed his arms. "Welcome to Atlanta traffic. Someone else will help you, lady." But Lucas had already stepped closer to the car. "Pop the hood for me." The woman hesitated, then pressed a button on the key fob. Lucas lifted the hood and peered inside. He didn't know much about engines, but he spotted something simple, a loose battery connector. "Ah, looks like this might be your problem." He grabbed a tissue from his pocket and carefully tightened it. His hands got a little dirty, but he didn't care. He wiped the sweat off his brow and smiled. "Try it now." The woman got in, turned the key, and the Tesla hummed back to life. Her eyes widened in surprise. "Oh my God, you fixed it." Lucas chuckled. "Lucky guess." She stepped out, smiling warmly. "You have no idea how much you just saved me. I was about to miss something really important." "No problem, ma'am," Lucas said, brushing off his hands. "Glad to help." Michael rolled his eyes. "Can we go now? We're already cutting it close." Yeah, Lucas said, looking at the woman. "Sorry, we've got a job interview. Hope you make it to your meeting, too." "Wait," she said softly. "Where's your interview?" Lucas pointed across the street. Martin Lux Hospitality Group. For a second, the woman's expression changed, almost amused. "Oh, Martin Lux." "Yeah," Michael jumped in, eager to sound impressive. "Biggest hospitality firm in Atlanta. We're candidates for a managerial position." "Really?" she said, tilting her head slightly. "That's interesting." Michael gave a cocky grin. "Well, we better get going. Time is money." He tugged Lucas's sleeve. "Come on, man." But before they could leave, the woman reached into her car and pulled out a small water bottle. She handed it to Lucas. "For you," she said. "You look like you could use this after saving the day." Lucas smiled awkwardly. "Thank you, but you don't have to." "I insist." Her tone was kind but firm. He accepted it, nodding. "All right. Have a great day." "You too," she said, her eyes following them as they walked away. Michael muttered under his breath. You just wasted 10 minutes helping some random lady with a car she probably can't even afford to maintain. Lucas frowned. You don't know that. Oh please, Michael scoffed. You really think some hoodie-wearing woman with a busted car has anything to offer us? Lucas stayed silent. Something about the woman's calm confidence felt different. By the time they reached the Martin Lux building, the lobby clock read 10:58 a.m. They were scheduled for 11 o'clock. Lucas straightened his tie again, trying to shake off the rush. His hands still had faint grease stains. Michael sighed dramatically. Dude, you look like you crawled out of a repair shop. First impressions matter, remember? Yeah, well, Lucas muttered. If they can't see past that, maybe it's not the place for me. Michael snorted. Spoken like a guy who's about to lose an opportunity. They signed in at the front desk and were ushered to a waiting area. Other candidates sat in polished suits, rehearsing talking points and scrolling through their phones. Lucas couldn't help but glance at the company's giant wall display. Photos of luxury hotels, happy guests, and smiling staff. The company's slogan glowed beneath it. Hospitality is heart. He smiled faintly. That's beautiful, he murmured. Michael looked up from his phone. What is? The slogan. Hospitality is heart. It's not just business. It's about people. Michael chuckled. You really buy into that stuff, huh? Lucas shrugged. Maybe that's what makes this company different. Just then, the receptionist approached. Mr. Gray and Mr. Morgan? The panel will see you shortly. Michael grinned, patting Lucas on the shoulder. All right, bro, time to shine. Lucas smiled, though nerves twisted in his gut. They followed her down a sleek hallway lined with awards and plaques. One caught Lucas's eye. Sharon Martin, founder and CEO, Martin Lux Hospitality Group. The photo showed a poised, elegant woman in her 40s with bright blue eyes and a kind smile. Lucas didn't think much of it, but something about the eyes looked familiar. Back outside, Sharon Martin, the same woman whose car had just been fixed, watched through the tinted window of her Tesla. Her disguise gone, she adjusted her sunglasses and smiled to herself. Lucas Morgan, a name she wouldn't forget. Her assistant, Sandra, sat beside her, holding a tablet. Ms. Martin, the interviews are about to begin. Should we head in? Sharon started the car. Yes, but let's take our time. I already know who I'm most interested in meeting. Sandra raised an eyebrow. Already? You haven't seen any of them yet. Oh, I've seen enough, Sharon said softly, as the Tesla merged into the traffic. Meanwhile, Lucas sat outside the boardroom, unaware that fate had already taken an unexpected turn. He took a deep breath, whispered a quick prayer, and clenched his hands to stop them from shaking. Michael looked perfectly calm, scrolling through his notes, smirking. You know, if this were a race, I'd already be at the finish line. Lucas chuckled. Maybe, but sometimes it's not about speed. Oh yeah, Michael teased. Then what's it about? Lucas smiled faintly. Direction. The door opened. Gentlemen, said a voice from inside. You're next. As they stepped in, neither of them knew that sitting behind that long mahogany table, elegantly dressed, confident, and observing every move, was the same woman Lucas had helped on the street less than an hour ago. Sharon Martin, the woman whose broken car had just become the most important test of their lives. The elevator chimed softly as Lucas and Michael stepped onto the 20th floor of the Martin Lux Hospitality Group headquarters. The air was cool, filled with the faint scent of lavender and fresh paper. Everything about the place screamed precision: polished marble floors, glass-walled offices, and portraits of smiling hotel guests adorning the walls. Lucas straightened his jacket and glanced at the clock, 11:02 a.m. They were barely on time. Relax, Michael whispered with a grin. You look like you're walking into a courtroom. Lucas exhaled. Feels like it. As they entered the waiting room, an assistant greeted them with a professional smile. Mr. Gray, Mr. Morgan, please have a seat. The interview panel will call you in shortly. They sat down, and Lucas couldn't help glancing around. Everything felt immaculate. Not a speck of dust, not a misplaced chair. It wasn't just a workplace. It was a brand that lived by its message. Hospitality is heart. That phrase lingered in his mind like a whisper. Across from them, a large glass door opened. A woman in a cream-colored suit stepped out, graceful yet commanding. Her hair was neatly tied up, and her blue eyes scanned the room with quiet intelligence. Lucas blinked, his pulse skipping a beat. It was her, the woman whose Tesla had broken down just an hour ago. For a second, he thought he was imagining it. But no, the eyes, the posture, the smile, it was definitely her. Only now she looked different. Composed. Elegant. Powerful. Michael leaned in and whispered, "Yo, is that?" "Yeah," Lucas breathed. "That's her." Michael frowned. "No way. What the?" Before they could say more, the receptionist stood. "Gentlemen, please meet Ms. Sharon Martin, CEO of Martin Lux Hospitality Group." Lucas froze. "CEO?" Sharon smiled politely. "Good morning, gentlemen. I trust your trip here wasn't too stressful." Her gaze lingered on Lucas for a fraction of a second longer than necessary. He felt his stomach twist. Michael, ever the confident one, flashed his trademark grin. "Not at all, Ms. Martin. It's an honor to finally meet you. I've followed your company's growth for years. Truly inspiring." "Thank you, Mr. Gray," Sharon said with professional warmth. "And you must be Mr. Morgan." Lucas swallowed. "Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure to meet you." Her smile deepened, almost imperceptibly. "Likewise." She turned toward the glass-walled boardroom. "Shall we begin?" Inside, the boardroom was modern and minimalistic, a long mahogany table, sleek leather chairs, and a panoramic view of the Atlanta skyline. 3 other executives sat on one side, while Sharon took the center seat. "Let's start with introductions," she said smoothly. Michael went first. He spoke with confidence, highlighting his business degree, his brief experience managing a small restaurant, and his strategic approach to leadership. "I believe hospitality is about maintaining image and efficiency," Michael concluded. "A business thrives when customers are impressed and operations are seamless." The panel nodded approvingly. Then it was Lucas's turn. He adjusted his tie nervously, but spoke from the heart. "I studied business administration too," he began. "But I've always been drawn to the human side of hospitality. I think guests remember how you make them feel, not just how fast you serve them." He paused, then added quietly, "Hospitality is heart. That's what your company believes." "I share that belief." For a moment, the room fell silent. Sharon's eyes softened slightly. "Interesting perspective," she said. "So tell me, Mr. Morgan, if you had to choose between profit and compassion, which would you prioritize?" Lucas hesitated. "That's a hard question, ma'am. But I think, in the long run, compassion is profit. People come back when they feel valued. You can't build loyalty without empathy." Sharon's lips curved into a small smile. "Well said." Michael's jaw tightened. He interjected quickly. "With all due respect, Ms. Martin, empathy doesn't pay bills. Efficiency and results do. Of course, kindness matters, but business must always come first." One of the executives scribbled notes, while another raised an eyebrow. Sharon nodded slowly, her expression unreadable. "Thank you both for your honesty." The interview continued with scenario questions. Handling rude guests, leading unmotivated staff, dealing with emergencies. Michael's answers were polished, logical, and sharp, the kind that sounded rehearsed but impressive. Lucas's responses, though less polished, felt real. He spoke about teamwork, communication, and dignity. "I believe every employee wants to feel seen," he said. "If you treat your team with respect, they'll treat guests the same way." At one point, Sharon leaned forward and asked, "Mr. Morgan, why do you want to work for Martin Lux?" Lucas paused. "Because this company seems to care. I've worked in places where people were just numbers. But here, it feels like something more. I want to be part of that." Sharon nodded thoughtfully. "And what if we don't hire you?" He smiled faintly. "Then I'll still be grateful for the chance to speak here today. Not every door opens, but every conversation teaches you something." For a second, Sharon's eyes glimmered, a mix of admiration and emotion. After both men finished, the panel thanked them and asked them to wait outside. Michael leaned close as soon as the door closed. "You blew it, man. All that heart stuff? They're not running a therapy center. You've got to speak their language, numbers, targets, results." Lucas sighed. "Maybe, but I wasn't trying to impress them. I was trying to be honest." Michael scoffed. "Honesty doesn't win interviews, bro, strategy does." Before Lucas could respond, Sandra, Sharon's assistant, approached. "Gentlemen, Ms. Martin wants to thank you both personally. She'll call you later today regarding the next step." Michael smirked. "See, I told you we nailed it." Inside the boardroom, Sharon remained quiet for a long time after the candidates left. The other executives exchanged glances. "Strong contrast between the two," said Mr. Lawson, the head of HR. "Gray's confident and business-minded. Morgan's empathetic, maybe too soft." Sharon turned toward the window, her eyes distant. "Sometimes softness is strength, Mr. Lawson." He hesitated. "You think Morgan's our guy?" She smiled faintly. "I think Morgan just showed me exactly what our guests expect from us. Warmth. Michael may know how to manage, but Lucas knows how to care." She tapped her pen on the table. "But let's not make it official yet. I want to see them both again in the field." Later that afternoon, Lucas sat at a coffee shop near his apartment, replaying the interview in his head. Every word, every glance, every moment. He couldn't stop thinking about her, Sharon Martin. He'd helped her just hours ago, not knowing who she was. And now, she was the one deciding his fate. As he stared into his coffee cup, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number popped up. From Sandra, Martin Lux HR. "Dear Mr. Morgan, congratulations. You have been selected for the next evaluation round tomorrow at the Martin Lux Midtown Hotel. Please arrive by 9 a.m. Lucas's heart leaped. He grinned, whispering, "Thank you, God." Moments later, another message arrived. From unknown number. Sometimes, character is revealed when you think no one's watching. SM. He froze. He didn't need to guess who it was. Sharon. He smiled to himself, shaking his head. She knows. Meanwhile, Michael was on the phone, bragging to a friend. "Yeah, man, it's in the bag. The CEO loved me. I'll probably be running a hotel by next month." But as he hung up, his own message pinged in. From Sandra, Martin Lux HR. "Mr. Gray, you've been invited for the next evaluation round tomorrow. Please be on time." Michael smirked. Of course they want me back. Who else would they pick? He didn't notice the last line Sharon had added just for him. True leadership is tested beyond the boardroom. That night, Sharon sat in her study at her luxurious estate, reviewing the notes from the interviews. 2 candidates. 2 different hearts. She picked up her pen and wrote in her private notebook. Michael Gray, intelligent, confident, self-assured. Sees people as tools for success. Lucas Morgan, humble, sincere, empathetic. Sees people as the foundation of success. She closed the notebook and gazed out at the moonlit skyline. "Tomorrow," she murmured, "we'll see who truly understands what hospitality means." The next morning, 8:45 a.m., Lucas arrived early at the Martin Lux Midtown Hotel, dressed neatly and carrying a small notebook. He greeted the receptionist with a warm smile. "Good morning. I'm here for the evaluation." "Of course, Mr. Morgan," the receptionist said. "Please wait in the lounge. Ms. Martin will join you shortly." He sat down, trying to calm his nerves. The air was filled with the aroma of fresh coffee and soft jazz music. Moments later, Michael walked in, crisp suit, expensive cologne, and a look of superiority. "Well, look who decided to show up early," Michael said with a grin. "Ready to lose gracefully?" Lucas chuckled. "I'm just ready to learn." Michael rolled his eyes. "Still playing the saint, huh?" Before Lucas could respond, the elevator doors opened, and Sharon Martin stepped out, flanked by 2 managers. "Good morning, gentlemen," she said. "Today's evaluation will test not just your skills, but your values." Lucas nodded respectfully. Michael straightened his posture. Sharon's gaze lingered on both men as she added softly, "The world doesn't need more bosses. It needs leaders who understand people. Let's see which one of you fits that description." The morning sky over Atlanta was pale gray, heavy with clouds that promised rain. Inside the Martin Lux Midtown Hotel, however, everything sparkled. Marble floors polished to perfection, chandeliers glowing softly, the faint scent of vanilla and citrus drifting through the air. It was the perfect setting for the final test. At exactly 9 a.m., Sharon Martin walked into the hotel's main conference room, accompanied by her assistant Sandra and the hotel's general manager, Mr. Lawson. Waiting inside were Lucas Morgan and Michael Gray, both impeccably dressed, both unaware that this day would define the rest of their lives. Sharon greeted them with a calm smile. "Gentlemen, welcome to your final evaluation. Michael grinned confidently. "We're ready, Ms. Martin." Lucas nodded respectfully. "Thank you for the opportunity, ma'am." Sharon clasped her hands. "Today's test won't involve interviews or paperwork. You'll both spend the day here, observing, managing, and handling any challenges that arise. Think of it as a real-life trial of leadership and empathy." Michael's smile widened. "Understood." Sharon looked at both of them. "Remember, leadership isn't about power. It's about people. Let's see how you handle them." And with that, she left them in the hands of Sandra, who explained their first tasks. The hotel was unusually busy that morning. Several VIP guests were checking in for a major corporate conference, and the staff were running behind schedule due to a late shipment of supplies. Michael immediately took charge, barking orders at the front desk. "Let's go, people. Move faster. We're losing time." Lucas, meanwhile, moved quietly among the staff, helping where he could, carrying luggage, assisting a confused guest, even pouring coffee for the receptionist who hadn't had a break. "Thank you, sir," she said, surprised. "You don't have to do that." Lucas smiled. "Maybe not, but it's easier to lead people when you show them you're on their side." Sandra, watching discreetly from a corner, jotted a note on her tablet. Across the lobby, Michael was impressing the managers with his quick problem-solving. He reorganized the check-in system, cut down waiting time, and even negotiated with a vendor to get supplies delivered within an hour. "Efficiency," he said proudly. "That's how you run a business." The staff nodded, though a few exchanged uneasy glances. His tone was sharp, his patience thin. Meanwhile, Sharon watched everything through the security cameras from the monitoring room. She could see it clearly: 2 leaders, 2 philosophies. Michael was focused on results. Lucas was focused on relationships. And soon, both would be tested in ways they couldn't predict. By noon, the sky had darkened. Thunder rolled across the city, and a sudden downpour began to lash against the windows. Then disaster struck. A power surge caused the hotel's main generator to flicker and fail. The lobby lights went out, the elevator stopped mid-floor, and the guests began to panic. Sandra rushed to Sharon's side. "Ma'am, the backup generator isn't responding. We're in blackout mode." Sharon's expression remained calm. "Good. Let's see how they handle this." In the lobby, chaos erupted. Guests were shouting, the phones were dead, and a frightened child began to cry near the reception desk. Michael immediately barked orders. "Everyone calm down. Maintenance, get those generators online now. Staff, keep the guests in their rooms." His tone was firm, commanding, but cold. Some guests obeyed, others grew more anxious. Lucas, on the other hand, moved straight to the crying child. He knelt down, smiled gently, and said, "Hey there, buddy. It's okay. The lights just went out for a little bit. You like magic tricks?" He pulled a small flashlight from his pocket and turned it on, making funny shapes on the wall. The boy giggled, his mother sighing in relief. Then Lucas looked around and saw an elderly couple struggling to climb the stairs because the elevator was stuck. Without thinking, he ran over to help. "Here, take my hand," he said, guiding them carefully up to the next floor. Within minutes, Lucas had calmed the crowd, helped the staff light candles in the dining area, and reassured nervous guests. Michael was still shouting into a dead walkie-talkie, frustrated that no one was following his orders fast enough. Sharon and Sandra watched everything unfold from the control room. "Notice the difference?" Sharon asked quietly. Sandra nodded. "Michael's commanding. Lucas is connecting." Sharon smiled faintly. "Exactly." Then came the final moment of truth. Just as the maintenance crew restored partial power, a loud crash echoed through the lobby. One of the kitchen staff had slipped on a wet floor and fallen hard, injuring his arm. A small crowd gathered around. Michael stepped back immediately. "Where's security? Get a medic down here." Lucas rushed forward. "Don't move him," he said calmly to the panicking staff. "Let's keep him still." He took off his jacket, folded it, and placed it gently under the man's head. "You'll be okay," he said reassuringly. "Help's coming." When the paramedics finally arrived, they found Lucas right beside the injured worker, keeping him calm and comfortable. Michael stood to the side, frowning, embarrassed that Lucas had taken control. A few hours later, the storm subsided, and the hotel returned to normal. The lights were back on, the guests were settled, and the staff were back to work, but the energy in the air had changed. Everyone had seen who had led through the chaos. Lucas hadn't just managed the situation. He had held it together with heart. At the end of the day, both men were called into the executive suite. Sharon sat at the head of the long table, her expression unreadable. "Gentlemen," she began, "you've both done well today. You were tested in leadership, pressure, and compassion. And now it's time for results." Michael leaned forward, confident. "Ms. Martin, it's been an honor to demonstrate my skills. I believe today proved my ability to handle any crisis efficiently." Lucas stayed quiet, his hands folded on his lap. Sharon nodded slowly. "Indeed, Mr. Gray. You managed logistics well. You got things done quickly. But tell me, did you notice the staff morale afterward?" Michael hesitated. "Well, they followed orders, didn't they?" Sharon's voice softened. "Yes. Out of fear, not respect." Then she turned to Lucas. "Mr. Morgan, you handled guests, staff, and emergencies with calm and kindness. You gave people comfort in chaos. Tell me, why did you stay by that injured worker?" Lucas shrugged humbly. "Because I couldn't walk away. He was scared, and someone had to be there." Sharon's eyes glimmered. "Even when you weren't sure anyone was watching?" Lucas looked puzzled. "Yes, ma'am. I just did what I thought was right." Sharon smiled, the same warm smile from that morning on Peachtree Street. "You did more than that, Mr. Morgan." Michael frowned. "Wait, what do you mean?" Sharon stood, walking toward the window overlooking the Atlanta skyline. "Do you remember a woman with a broken white Tesla on Peachtree Street?" Lucas blinked. Michael's eyes widened. Sharon turned around. "That was me." Michael's jaw dropped. "You what?" Sharon nodded. "That morning, I wasn't just another woman with car trouble. I was testing something far more important than mechanical skills. I wanted to see who among the candidates understood what empathy looks like when there's nothing to gain." Her gaze landed on Lucas. "And you passed that test before you even stepped into my building." The room went silent. Michael sat frozen, disbelief etched on his face. Sharon continued, her tone gentle but firm. "Mr. Gray, you walked past me. You refused to help, even discouraged your friend from doing so. Yet you call yourself a leader." Michael's voice cracked. I didn't know it was you." Sharon raised a hand. "That's exactly the point. You didn't need to know who I was to show kindness." She turned to Lucas with a proud smile. "Mr. Morgan, you are the kind of leader this company needs. Someone who leads with compassion first, strategy second. The position is yours." Lucas's eyes widened. "Ma'am, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Sharon said warmly. "And welcome to Martin Lux." Michael stood silently as Lucas shook Sharon's hand. The defeat stung, but more than that, he felt something else, shame. As Lucas walked out of the office, Michael called after him softly. "Hey, Lucas." Lucas turned. Michael sighed. "I messed up, man. You deserved it. I guess. I had the wrong idea about success." Lucas smiled gently. "We all learn in different ways. You'll find your path too." Michael nodded slowly. "Maybe next time, I'll stop to help." Lucas grinned. "That's a good start." Outside, the evening sun broke through the last of the storm clouds. Lucas stepped into the warm golden light, breathing deeply. The city that had seemed so big that morning now felt smaller, more alive. As he crossed the street, he spotted Sharon's white Tesla waiting by the curb. The window rolled down and she smiled. "Headed somewhere, Mr. Manager?" Lucas laughed. "Home for now." "Good," she said. "Tomorrow, you start building something greater than profits. You'll be building people." He nodded, his eyes reflecting gratitude and disbelief. "Thank you, Ms. Martin." Sharon smiled. "Thank yourself. You earned this, the moment you decided to care." The Tesla drove off into the sunset, the hum of its engine fading into the city's rhythm. Lucas stood there for a while looking up at the sky, feeling, for the first time in years, that kindness had finally paid off. As Lucas walked toward his new life, one thought echoed in his mind. The world doesn't reward those who only chase success. It remembers those who bring kindness along the way. The major takeaway from this story is, true success isn't about what you earn, it's about who you become. Empathy is the most powerful form of leadership. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to Boundless Echoes for more interesting stories. We really appreciate your support. Comment where you are watching from so we can give you a shout out. See you in our next video.